Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. In this video, we're going to be talking about a few things. There was a major happening yesterday on Friday night, September 8th, the day before President Nelson's birthday on September 9th, which is today, in which he turns 99. So he turns 99 on 9/9. And okay. So this earthquake, I'm about to show you all the numbers, but just to give you a little bit of a preview, it's the second deadliest earthquake this year, and it was actually deadlier as of right now, and the death toll is probably going to continue to go up. It's deadlier than the deadliest earthquake last year. And this happens one day before President Nelson's birthday, which is interesting because last year, when he turned 98, the day before his birthday, Queen Elizabeth II passed away, which was a huge event. It was really big in the history of the UK. She had been queen forever, you know? So that happened last year. This happens this year. We're going to take a look at it all. We're going to look at President Nelson, his birthday, this earthquake, and then some other disasters. There's another new disaster that's taken place. I'm going to show you what happened. So before we jump into it, first, let's take a look at the Flood the Earth Challenge. I haven't had a chance to update it since the last update. So right now, we're at 6,494, very close to the next milestone of 6,500. So let's try and do that. We're also getting close to 700 people that have joined the challenge, so hopefully we can hit that number as well. If you haven't yet, please consider sharing the Book of Mormon. Let me know in the comments or send me an email, and then I'll update you on the tracker. Okay, so first, let's take a look at President Nelson. All right, there's a few stories out. This is on the church website, the church newsroom. President Russell M. Nelson turns 99 on 9/9. Latter-day Saint Church president and prophet was born in 1924. And by the way, I just thought about this. Someone had sent me a message about how, okay, I have this spreadsheet called Rising Generation, and it is full of quotes in chronological order. Quotes from prophets, apostles, general authorities about specific generations. And this really kind of came to life. Let me zoom out. This really came to life starting in 1967 and onward. Before 1967, you'll be hard pressed to find anything. If you have it, send it to me and I'll add it to the playlist. But you'll notice over here I have these columns that have child, grandchild, President Nelson. And the reason why I have that is because back in 1843, when Joseph Smith was still alive, he said, "Were I going to prophesy, I would say the end of the world would not come in 1844, 5, or 6, or in 40 years. There are those of the rising generation who shall not taste death till Christ comes." All right, so that's like the first generational, like identifying a generation statement that we have that I know of. Okay, so if you have someone that was born at the time that he said this, and then you go forward, and let's say that that person has a child at 80 years old, which you may think is silly, that doesn't really happen today. Although, remember Abraham when he had his child. But this generation right here of this infant at the time of Joseph Smith, having a child at 80 years old is plausible because there were polygamous families that were having children all the way until the father died. And in the case of Joseph F. Smith, I still have to verify this, but somebody said that he had a pregnant wife at the age of about 80 when he died, and then the child was born after. So what's interesting about this is that looking at this scenario, this is the time frame of when President Nelson was born. The person said, well, yeah, but his parents were not part of that generation. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter President Nelson specifically. He's part of this generation of this person that would have been born in about 1923, 1924. So even though President Nelson himself and his genealogy, his parents and grandparents may not fit this, President Nelson is born within the time frame of this theoretical child. So, and I think that that's what's important. And by the way, rising generation, I'm going off of the definition that we find in Millennial Messiah, where Bruce R. McConkie says it would include anybody that was then living and the next generation after that, their children. So President Nelson, just based on his age, not his actual family tree, but his age, does line up with that scenario. Okay. So I think that his age is actually really important. We've talked about the possibility that maybe he'll be among the first people in his 100th year, which is right now that he's 99, he's in his 100th year. Or after he turns 100 years old, he might be one of the first people to be changed in the twinkling of an eye from a quickened state to a resurrected state. Receive his resurrected body, because that's going to be the state of things in the millennium. There's not going to be death anymore as we know it. Okay. His age also comes at a very interesting time when we look at the age of the country or the state of Israel. There's a tradition that there's a curse of the 8th decade, meaning that Israel, since the very beginning, has never been a unified country more than 80 years. You might be like, well, what about, no, we're talking about like the Northern Kingdom, the Southern Kingdom. It was not more than 80 years. And they just have that tradition, the tradition of the curse of the 8th decade. So as you can see, that's going to run out in 2028. And at the same time, the church has its oldest prophet and apostle of this dispensation. So it's just very interesting times that we're living in. So let's go back to this. All right, so there he is with a big birthday card and things. Okay, President Russell M. Nelson, 17th President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, turns 99 today, September 9th, 2023. On Friday, the day before his birthday, President Nelson participated in meetings and other duties in the church administration building on Temple Square in Salt Lake City. He and his wife, Wendy, then met in his office with his children and their spouses and his counselors in the first presidency, President Dallin H. Oaks and President Henry B. Eyring, and then took pictures. His office includes a display of birthday cards and greetings from Latter-day Saints and acquaintances. There's the picture. Okay. His family. And then they include an interesting quote that I wasn't aware of. This is in his talk called Call to the Holy Apostleship, April 1984. So this would have been like his first talk in General Conference as an apostle. And this is what he says. Okay, so the article says, during his first address as an apostle at the April 1984 General Conference, he testified, quote, Now I understand fully. Okay, this is like the key to this quote. Because the implication is that before this point, before becoming an apostle, he did not fully understand. Now I understand fully that the call to the holy apostleship is one of witness to the world of the divinity of the Lord Jesus Christ. I know that salvation is centered in him. So I think you and I, or at least many of you, would take that to mean that he's probably literally seen Christ. At some point, I'd like to put together a spreadsheet of all the quotes where prophets and apostles have basically said that they have actually met Christ, like in person. And I think that this would be one of those. because he says now that he's an apostle, he fully understands what it is to be a witness to the world of the divinity of the Lord Jesus Christ. Again, meaning that that's something he didn't know before, but once he became an apostle, then he's like, okay, now I actually understand it. I fully understand it because something new has happened. All right. And then over on Deseret News, they have this article also talking about his birthday. It has 9 facts about President Russell M. Nelson. I'd like to read some of those, if not all of them. We'll just see how it goes. He was set apart as the 17th president of the church on January 14th, 2018. We talk about that date quite a bit. It was in that month that there was a blue moon, but not only was it a blue moon, it was okay, let me see how it goes. A super blue blood moon, meaning that it was the closest to Earth in its orbit around Earth. And it was the second full moon of that month. And at that same time as all that was happening, there was also a lunar eclipse taking place. And it was actually 17 days after he became president of the church. 17. Him being the 17th president of the church. That is wild. I talked about that in a recent video. Number 2, while being a prophet of the church, he has made an estimated 99 changes and announcements. That's really interesting. President Nelson is the oldest president of the church and became the longest living apostle in Latter-day Saint history in 2022. Yep. He has received different awards, including the first Gandhi King Mandela Peace Prize from Morehouse College in Atlanta and the Heart of Gold Award from the American Heart Association. Number 5, as a heart surgeon of 30 years, he worked on an estimated 7,000 people. Interesting number with the 7 there. Number 6, President Nelson has received 6 different degrees: his bachelor's, his master's degrees from the University of Utah, a PhD from the University of Minnesota, an honorary doctorate degree as a Doctor of Science from BYU, a Doctor of Medical Science from Utah State University, and a Doctor of Humane Letters from Snow College. Sorry, I don't know what that means. Number 7, he learned Mandarin Chinese when President Spencer W. Kimball talked about preparing to teach the gospel. And by the way, if you haven't watched my last video about the Chinese and China, you should watch it. It's very interesting, specifically when it comes to David O. McKay. He did initially dedicate the land for the preaching the gospel in 1921. And just a few months later, something happened. Something really interesting happened. So I would encourage you to watch that video. And then we talked about President Nelson and how it just so happens that he learned Chinese because he listened to the counsel of President Spencer W. Kimball, and how that essentially, because he learned Chinese and gained new friends and relationships in China, that really helped with the church wanting to put a temple in Shanghai. So just go watch that video. I'm telling you, sometimes videos may not interest you, like the thumbnail. Like I don't always do the best at thumbnails. I try and do my best to like say what's going to happen or show you how exciting the video is, but I would encourage you to watch that video. Okay, number 8. He didn't serve a full-time mission because of war. He served as a missionary at Temple Square for 10 years. And then number 9, he had 10 children with his first wife, Dancel White, and 57 grandchildren, which that is amazing, before she died in 2006. In 2007, he married Wendy L. Watson. Exaltation is a family affair in the Nelson Nelson family motto. Exaltation is a family affair. Do you guys have a family motto? If you do, put it in the description below. Okay. And then this is another thing that I didn't know. I guess I didn't catch this last year or the year before that or any year. But yesterday, the 8th of September, was Elder Cook's birthday, and he just turned 83. And then they did 9 of his quotes from the past year. I'm not going to go over that right now, but I'll put this article in the description below. But just wanted to put that on your radar. Did you know? Put it in the comments. Did you know that his birthday was yesterday? Did you know that before this video? Okay, so now, oh boy, let's take a look at what's going on in the world. Okay, specifically, we're going to focus mostly on Morocco. BNO News Live. Watch a man in Morocco. Okay, I might have to refresh this. Oh, it's because I reposted some stuff. Gosh dang it, that messes everything up. Okay, we'll start at the very bottom. Sorry, sometimes it's hard to keep track of everything that's going on here on Twitter. Okay, disaster news. Several houses devastation caused by the earthquake in Marrakech, Morocco. That is an amazing sentence. All right, so you see apartments, condos, not looking like they're livable anymore. Definitely condemned at this point and like split in two at the top. That's really weird. Now, before we look at the rest of these videos, let's take a look at Google Earth, and I'll show you where Marrakech is. So Morocco is a North African nation. It's very, very close to Spain. Here you have the Strait of Gibraltar. On my mission in Spain, we had a lot of Moroccans there because of the proximity. A lot of them immigrate to Spain, or they go there temporarily to work, right? But Marrakech is right here. All right. And then we're going to look at another disaster that just recently happened in Libya. So right now, it looks like it's North Africa's turn for disasters. Before this point, we've been looking at what's been going on over here because of Storm Daniel. And then wildfires in Greece. The largest wildfire in Greek history, and because Greece is in the European Union, also the largest wildfire in European Union history. So a pretty sizable fire that's still going on. There was the crazy flooding in Madrid, but now it's Marrakech, Morocco, and then Libya. All right, let's go back here. No, let's do a little bit more. Okay, Marrakech. Let's get some of the context. Okay, Marrakech is the 4th largest city in Morocco. It is one of the 4 imperial cities in Morocco and the capital of the Marrakech Safi region. It is situated west of the foothills of the Atlas Mountains. So, because it's a capital city, I have put it on my capital cities spreadsheet. This is now my newest entry for capital cities right here. As of right now, at the time that I'm recording this, over 1,300 dead, but of course that could always rise. So that means that we've already had 3 disasters take place in capital cities, just capital cities, in September. September 3rd, Madrid, with that really crazy flooding, the really crazy flooding in Athens, Greece, and now Marrakech yesterday with this 6.3 earthquake. This, you guys, this is a compression of events. It really is. Okay. Volcaholic says this is one of the mountain villages in the Imlil region near the top of Jabal. Okay, whatever. Less than 100 kilometers from Marrakech. Buildings have been flattened. All right, so it's not just the city of Marrakech, but that whole area. Very sad. This is Greece. George Sakraklides says, the data is now official. 3 years worth of rain fell within 2 days. Take that in. 3 years worth of rain fell within 2 days. Scientists on Greek TV discussing the possibility of the formation of new permanent lakes in the area. And look at this. It is a new planet. George, I don't know if you know how prophetic you're being right there, and how literal that actually is, as we expect the world to change and become a paradisiacal world. Big changes at the second coming, and this may or may not be part of it. Who knows? But the earth is definitely going to change, and it may already be happening as we speak. All right, back to Morocco. Horrible moment. A strong earthquake hits in Morocco. And once again, for some reason, that's not... This is annoying. Go back down. We'll find it. Okay, right here. Everybody just enjoying their Friday afternoon, right? Sitting with a friend, and then suddenly shaking and people running for their lives, not knowing what's going on. I will say, however, those two right there and this guy, if they're shaking, you see what happens. I'm not judging them. I know things like can get crazy really fast. You don't know what's going on. You're just trying to like find cover. You're trying to find safety. But if you're able to stop for just a second and realize that it's an earthquake, if that's what you realize, or even if there's like strong shaking, you probably want to stay away from structures. Because again, look what happens here. Boom, boom. You're like in this like narrow alleyway, and then stuff from above starts falling onto the ground in the street beneath. Stay away from buildings. All right. This is the largest mosque in the city. I looked it up. It has not collapsed, and it's hard for me to tell from this video. I don't know if it's like swaying a little bit, or if it's just because the person is unsteady with the camera. But you can see all the birds and maybe bats. I don't know what that is, freaking out. And then you see some like smoke and stuff going up and away from this tower. But I can't tell if like the tower is swaying. I don't know if it's like that effect, like when you have like a pen or a pencil, you put it between your fingers and you like make it look like it's rubbery and bending. I don't know if that's what we're seeing here, but whatever the case, interesting video. And you can see all the animals freaking out. Man, I don't know why some of these videos aren't just like automatically playing. Maybe I have to clear my cache. I don't know. There's almost nothing left of Artza village in Morocco. I already saw that video. Inside some kind of entertainment and or shopping center. Everyone's scrambling to get out. I myself, I've never experienced an earthquake except for one time here in Kansas. Here in Kansas is the first time that I consciously experienced an earthquake. It was just like very slight. It may have been, I think it was like a 3 point something. Have you ever experienced an earthquake? Put it in the comments below. Let me know, how many earthquakes or like the strongest earthquake that you've experienced. I'd like to know how many people have experienced this. Okay, now we're in another North African nation, Libya. And as you can see, there is crazy flooding going on there. Now, there's not like the raging river type effect going on like we've seen in other places, but you can see that there's some, there's flooding. There's flooding taking place. And the reason why is because if we go to Zoom Earth, this is a hurricane, by the way. This same hurricane, the one called Daniel, that caused all the flooding and stuff in Turkey, Bulgaria, and Greece, has now gone southwest, and it's affecting northern Libya. I haven't seen anything that said that Tripoli the capital is flooding. If that comes up, then I'll add that to my list. But in the meantime, I did add it to Google Earth, and you can see it right here. And the only thing that I've really been able to tell is that this city, Misrate or Misrate or whatever, there's definitely been flooding there. In fact, 4 major Libyan oil ports have temporarily been closed. And then I have my sources in that box. But let's actually go back here. I verified it. I'm not one to really repost things unless I can verify it. And there are, in fact, a couple articles talking about this. This one's from the Libya Observer. Libyan Prime Minister forms emergency teams amid unstable weather. And you can see flooding that's taking place. And then there's another article from Market Screener. And this is the one that talks about the oil ports being closed because of this hurricane. All right, so just another one to add to the list. Again, let me make sure this is filtered. So I'm going to take off August. Okay, so right now we're looking at September alone. All this right here, this is all from this month. And today is only the 9th. It's only the 9th. We had this down in Brazil. Crazy flooding down there. Remember, this is the one that it says the governor of Rio Grande do Sul, which is this region or state, said it was the state's worst ever weather disaster. This was on the 6th of September, just 3 days ago. Up here in Louisiana, we have Louisiana's largest wildfire in state history, which the date that I have for that is the 4th of September. Yeah, this is just over the last few days. And then we could always zoom out and we can add August. And then you have a bunch more things pop up. Yeah, this earthquake in Bogota, Colombia. We had Hurricane Idalia that affected these two state capitals, Atlanta and Tallahassee. Ottawa flooding. Kelowna almost burned down. It ended up being 181 homes partially or totally destroyed. Flooding in Juneau, Alaska. Yellowknife in Northwest Territories was completely evacuated. And then Lahaina was destroyed on the 8th of August. So it's been almost exactly a month now. A month and a day. Just within the last couple months. And I'm sure that I have not captured it all. Oh, yeah, and we can't forget about the other side of the world, China, where, let's see, Beijing last month up here. And then this month, we have Hong Kong and Fuzhou. And I know there's been a couple other cities too, but Typhoon Haikui flooding, same thing down here in Hong Kong. They received the most rainfall they've ever received in recorded history, both Hong Kong and Beijing last month. Okay, so yeah, things are just a little bit crazy right now, but here's Libya. Let's move on. Here's Hong Kong. Speak of the devil. 6.22 inches in just 1 hour. That is really intense. The Moroccan earthquake. It is no longer 1,037 for the death toll. It's risen to at least 1,300. More of Morocco. Also Morocco. Some people just enjoying vacation or something. Lights go out. More of Morocco. More of Morocco. People finding safety on the grass over there. I can't imagine being in that situation. Here's Libya. Severe flooding after heavy rains in Misrata, Libya today. All right. Multiple buildings collapse and damaged after massive earthquake hits Marrakech, Morocco. Libya. It just shows basically the lightning. Here you go. You have in Israel, you still have the protests going on. We've covered that recently, but just so you can see it, just so we can verify it, Haaretz says, ahead of critical top court hearing, Israelis protest judicial coup for 36th straight week. I don't know how this is all going to play out. I don't know how significant this is. There haven't been protests this big and this long in Israeli history. I do know that. But as far as the outcome, will this somehow lead to the final war? Will it lead to some bigger thing? I don't know. We just have to keep our eye on it. Morocco. Mosque collapses during demolition after an earthquake. So, but this is like nighttime. This is like night. Like, did they demolish it right away? They're like, oh gosh, that's really dangerous. We need to take that down right now. There's that building that collapsed. Already reposted that. Israel again with the protest. This is in Tel Aviv. Here is that hurricane or storm Daniel. So you can see it coming down here, hitting Misrata and other places in northern Libya. And then, I don't know, that seems to be an ongoing thing. So there may still be more in store. So really quick, let's go ahead and go over to CNN. I had a few things that were highlighted here. We're going to go in just order of these posts. Here is why Marrakech is so popular with tourists. There's a picture of the city. It's a really cool photo right there. That's awesome. There is that mosque that we saw earlier. A former imperial city with nearly 1,000 years of history, Marrakech is tightly packed with medieval era palaces, mosques, gardens, and bustling markets. Its old city center is surrounded by red earth walls and filled with buildings constructed in red sandstone, which gave the city its nickname, the Red City. Which that's interesting. I know we always kind of like look into names and what they mean, and is there any symbolic significance. Some people just write that off as silly, and I'm not sure exactly how I feel about it. I think a lot of times there probably is some significance, but sometimes I think that we maybe just take it too far. But if there is any significance in this, Red City, we think about the Savior coming at the second coming. He's going to be dressed in red, in a red robe. Those walls were first laid out in the early 12th century. Before the COVID pandemic, the old city drew nearly 3 million tourists in 2019. In addition to its rich culture and history, Marrakech is also Morocco's fourth largest city and a major economic center. All right, so this is big. For Morocco, it's big. It's the fourth largest city. This was a major happening. Well, you know what? I lost all the highlights. So all I can really do, let's go up here to the latest update. Death toll, this is 39 minutes ago at the time that I'm reading this or recording this. Death toll continues to climb as Morocco reels from earthquake. Here's what you need to know. As night falls in Morocco, those who've had their homes destroyed by the deadly 6.8 magnitude earthquake may find themselves again sleeping on the streets. Search and rescue teams are trying to reach those affected near the mountainous epicenter, and experts warn the number of dead may continue to rise. Death toll climbs. At least 1,300 people have died, and over 1,800 are hurt due to the quake, according to state broadcaster Al Aoula, which cited the Interior Ministry. Morocco will observe 3 days of mourning following the disaster, the royal palace said Saturday. Eyewitnesses near high Atlas Mountains say there is destruction everywhere, quote unquote. It was the strongest quake to hit within 500 kilometers, about 310 miles of the area in more than a century, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. Here's a map. Marrakech is in this kind of like secondary, like not the strongest area, but like second strongest, based on the color coding there. So, okay. Let's actually from here, let's take a look at the spreadsheets that I put together. So again, let's start with this. You have President Nelson that turns 99 today. And last night, and from what I've seen, it was technically on Friday, September 8th, you have this earthquake that so far, so far as we know, has killed about 1,300 people. Okay, this before President Nelson turns 99. All right, I got this updated on my capital cities spreadsheet. And now let's look at earthquakes just in general. I have an earthquake spreadsheet, and it was already a really bad year for earthquakes because of the death toll from the Turkey earthquake, the Turkey-Syria earthquake. So that earthquake, and I double checked, and this is still what the death toll's at as of right now. That earthquake killed 59,259 people, making it the deadliest earthquake this year and the deadliest one since the 2010 Haiti earthquake, which killed about 220,000 people. So already a pretty bad year. But now for the total death toll between all earthquakes, that's gone up. Now we're at 60,614. So that makes it the fifth deadliest year, going back to 1985. I don't really have anything before that because I'm dependent on Wikipedia in the Wikipedia articles that track these things. For example, there's this one here. I find it really useful. I'm sure some things are probably off, but it's accurate enough to where we can get a feel for the significance of events like what just happened yesterday. So you can come here. They have all the different years and, you know, the different magnitudes and stuff like that. So this is where I get those numbers from. And it's crazy because, so this earthquake, the one in Morocco, this surpasses, as far as like the death toll goes, this surpasses last year's deadliest earthquake, which was in Afghanistan, in Khost, which was 1,163. So we've had two earthquakes this year more deadly than the deadliest earthquake last year in 2022. All right, let's go back up. So yeah, it is the fifth deadliest year. It ranks number 5. The number 1 spot, in case you're curious, was 2004, where you had that Indonesian earthquake and tsunami. I haven't seen anything that really says how many died because of the tsunami and how many died just because of the earthquake. I don't think there's any numbers like that. So that's something to keep in mind. But the number 1 spot was that earthquake and tsunami in 2004. The number 2 spot was the Haiti earthquake in 2010. Number 3 and 4 were in 2005 and 2008, respectively. I don't know off the top of my head what those earthquakes were, but you can see that they were pretty similar as far as their death tolls went, because they were both in the 87,000 range for the number 3 and number 4 spot. And now this year, the number 5 spot we're at a total of 60,000. Now, the thing about that is that we basically still have a whole third of the year left because we're at the beginning of September. So ultimately, anything could happen between now and then, but it's already looking like a pretty bad year. Let's look over here. Let's just look at the magnitudes. So as far as the 7.0 to 7.9 range, 2023 is now equal with 2021, 2018, 2016, right? It's already seen a lot of 7.0 to 7.9 earthquakes. And like I said, we still have a whole third of the year to go. So that may go up. If it does, it may tie with some of these higher ones right here. Just like the death toll, when we were looking at the death toll, the worst year for 7.0 to 7.9 was 2010. And then the second worst year was 1991. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. And as far as 8.0 and above, we haven't seen that since 2021. 2021, interestingly, saw three 8.0 or above. You have to go back to 2007 to beat that. 2007 had 4, and that's in the number 1 spot. So there's always the possibility that we'll have, an 8.0 or above. We'll just have to wait and see. Didn't have one yet the year before, last year in 2022. Didn't have one in 2020. But if you were just to kind of eyeball this, it looks like they pretty much happen, except for this stretch of time right here in the 90s. Since 1994, it seems like you pretty much at least have one a year. The average is probably something like 0.9 or 0.8 a year if you took the average of all this. So I think I would probably be surprised if we don't have an 8.0 or above this year. So that's what that's looking like. And yeah, I think that's actually all that I have. Let's go to this. Let's just see if this has been updated or not. For the USGS, it still shows 6.8 as the magnitude. And there's like an aftershock right here. What's interesting is that according to UTC time, this happened at 1711. Thinking about President Nelson being the 17th president of the church, that's what time this happened. The 17th or whatever, however you want to say it, at 1711 UTC. That is kind of interesting. All right. So let me just double check. Oh yeah, one other thing. I meant to talk about this at the very beginning. So when we read this scripture, wait, did we even read this scripture? Well, no, we didn't read it, did we? Okay. D&C 45:30. And in that generation shall the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And there shall be men standing in that generation that shall not pass until they shall see an overflowing scourge, for a desolating sickness shall cover the land. I am of the opinion that was COVID-19. Just because not so much the death toll, but the effect that it had on the entire world. Okay. But my disciples shall stand in holy places and shall not be moved. But among the wicked, men shall lift up their voices and curse God and die. And there shall be earthquakes also in diverse places and many desolations. Yeah, we just saw a lot of desolation in Morocco, not to mention all these other places that we've been looking at. Yet men will harden their hearts against me, and they will take up the sword one against another, and they will kill one another. And now, When I, the Lord, had spoken those words unto my disciples, they were troubled. And I said unto them, be not troubled, for when all these things shall come to pass, ye may know that the promises which have been made unto you shall be fulfilled. So here's the Lord himself saying, don't be afraid, don't be troubled. This is just part of what's supposed to happen. And we've studied before that one of the main reasons why you have these kind of disasters, especially right now, is the Lord is preaching his own sermons. He's giving his own testimony, and it's to help people, maybe in some cases break the pride cycle. It's to help people remember what's actually important in life. It's not just to punish and like, oh, okay, well, that's it. You're getting a punishment for justice sake. It's done out of mercy to help people change their lives. And what I meant to share with you, I meant to read this before we got into the earthquakes or the earthquake stuff. But this first part, I just wanted to remind you, the times of the Gentiles. I've done a number of videos about this, and it seems like they are pretty much done. I'll give you one reason why that is probably the case. So this is my phrase tracker. It's a tally of all the general conference talks that include these words or these phrases. In this case, we're looking at column GF, and the phrase is times of the Gentiles. And you actually have to go all the way back to 1977 to see that said in General Conference. We have not seen that phrase since 1977. And before 1977, it came up somewhat frequently. Not like a whole lot, not like other words and phrases, but it was said every now and again. Okay? Maybe once every something like 4 or 5 years. Maybe more like 4. From 1950 to 1977, probably an average of about like 4 times a year. Or every 4 years is what I meant to say. And then suddenly it just ends. There are some incorrect notions about like that missionaries have to go into the state of Israel, and that is when the time of the Jews is going to be. And we've seen what Joseph Fielding Smith said about that I think it was both him and Bruce R. McConkie. I'd have to go back and find the quotes. I'm not going to do that right now. But one of them or both of them said that the gospel is going to go to the Jews in the millennium, right? When we talk about the first shall be last and the last shall be first, that the majority of the work to be done among the Jews is going to happen during the millennium. But I think that as far as the Gentiles go, the Gentile nations and them having a chance to receive the gospel, that's pretty much complete. We're still doing it. We're going to do it all the way up to the second coming. We're going to do it after the second coming. There's still going to be missionary work done for a while at the beginning of the millennium. And not just to Jews, but it would seem that the time of the Gentiles is probably over, if not close to being over. It is over. There's like 2 ways that you can take the times of the Gentiles. The one way is when you're talking about oh my gosh, I'm falling apart here. When we're talking about Jerusalem and who has possession of the city of Jerusalem. And the Jews, Israel came into possession of the city after the 6-Day War in 1967. So that's when that portion of the prophecy was fulfilled. But as far as the times of the Gentiles, referring to the gospel going to the Gentiles and the Jews, that may be over, or it's probably coming to a close really quick. So if you want to know more about this, just do a search on my channel for Times of the Gentiles, and you can go watch those videos where I have those quotes. I'm not just making it up. Okay, but that's going to be it for this one. So pray for the people in Morocco. This is a horrible thing to go through. It's easy for us just to sit here and look on X and be like, oh, that's horrible. And then we, continue about our day. Take time to say a prayer for them, the people in Libya, and really the people all across the world. Again, we're only at the beginning of the month of September. What else is going to happen this month, let alone the rest of the year? All right, that's going to be it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. Like this video if you liked it. Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.